If you look around my office, you might realize I have kind of a love for dark, twisted cartoons. And a lot of that may be because I grew up with a lot of dark, twisted cartoons. Now, I'm not talking about the ones like Batman or ones that were meant for older kids. I'm talking about the ones that were meant for little kids, and they probably should have been made for little kids. And I loved the hell out of them. I enjoyed how much they scared me. I loved how every time you got through one, you felt a little tougher. So I'm doing a series reacting and reviewing them. We're gonna analyze how creative they are, how dark they are, and if the dark, twisted tone was warranted. So join me in taking a look at some dark tunes. Sometimes you just gotta cut a cat's head off. Context! The Two Musketeers was released in 1952. It has probably the darkest ending Tom and Jerry has ever had. Let's take a look. So this is another one where the entire episode itself, it's not particularly dark, it's more just the ending, but A, man, is this ending dark, and B, it's Tom and Jerry. There's still lots to talk about. Now, this is 3 years before the Mickey Mouse Club will come out, so you can't technically say they took that name from that. The song they're singing here is Soldiers of Virtue from The Girl of the Golden West. I have no idea what that has to do with the Three Musketeers, but this cartoon ends with a cat getting his head cut off, so that's the least of my concerns. I guess it has an adventurous yet still friendly sound to it, so I think it matches okay. Like I said before, by no means dark background, but definitely very elegant backgrounds. There's still a lot of nice artistry to admire in this. The way they show the moonlight reflecting, it's still very nice looking.
Si c'est moi que vous cherchez, je suis juste derrière vous, Monsieur Jerry.
I always find it funny that Nibbles is supposed to be the younger mouse, the orphan that's left at Jerry's home, and yet he talks much more than Jerry ever does. He picked up language much faster. Not only did he pick it up, he picked up French. This is something that'll carry over a lot in Tom and Jerry. There's very few times Tom and Jerry actually talk, and when they do, people don't like it, man. Rightfully so, but Nibbles, for some reason, people don't care about it. He can talk all he wants, and the voice changes a lot, so like I said, sometimes it's even a different language.
Well, nom de pomme, off comes the head.
Off comes the head. So right at the very beginning, you can't act like you should be that surprised how it ends. Again, really look at the background here, though, and look at the way they have the moon and the guillotine silhouette. I mean, it's still a very grim background, but it's still very beautiful. So Tom's supposed to make sure nothing happens to the nice bread so people can have a really nice feast while looking at a guillotine outside. I mean, is that something you want to see while you're eating your food? I should point out this is actually the 6th Academy Award Tom and Jerry has ever won for Best Animated Short. And again, you do look at these backgrounds. I know I talk about them a lot, but I mean, there is a lot of nice colors, and I mean, it almost looks like a photograph. Like, look at the stairs there and the way the light hits it and the shadow is. Hanna-Barbera is so often known for Flintstones and Yogi Bear, you know, this very cheap animation so they could run a lot of them on TV, but they did some very artistically pleasing stuff in the past. This is also one of 4 cartoons that use the same idea of the Musketeers, with Jerry and Nibbles as the little mice in the Musketeer outfit fighting off Tom. Hey, Timon! I don't feel so good! Old cartoon rule, if you have mice in the cartoon and there's food in it, there must always be Swiss cheese, and some sort of joke must be made with the holes. It's cartoon law. Many have lost their lives not heeding to it. And you know how. Hey, keep it PG, guys. Oh, actually, that pig almost looked happy they were about to do that. No judgment here. What you do with your champagne bottles is up to you.
Alouette, petite alouette.
And yes, this is often how they could get away with so much violence in these cartoons. As long as you had a very sweet, high-pitched voice, cute animal, you could literally get away with murder half the time. All of Tom's screams, once again done by William Hanna. Just some of the best screams around. I am so happy there have been more YouTube compilations of all the Tom screams. They're a laugh riot. Check them out if you haven't yet. I always like this idea that somehow animals have underpants under their fur. Like, they actually zip up their fur every day. That always gets a laugh out of me. Something else that was very popular in cartoons back then, child alcoholism.
Touche, pussycat.
I think it was seen at the height of absurdity for a child to get drunk that it just was not seen as that big an offense. And, man, there's some great scenes that come out of it, man. Pink Elephants is still like one of the best animated scenes, so I really can't complain that much. I really love the animation on this hit because they do the traditional Wile E. Coyote thing where the body falls, the neck stretches, and then the head, but somehow the way they animate it, you still feel the force hitting the head as if the body is reacting before the head can put together that it was even hit, and then follows with it. It's really, slow it down, watch it. It's really nicely done. Anything to stretch out the pain of the moment is usually going to lead to a lot more laughter. You don't leave cannons near the dining room table? Okay, so the cartoon is seemingly wrapping up. We see Tom get blown up with the cannon, which we've seen happen to him a million times. He always gets right back up. Jerry and Nibbles, they're walking off. The happy music is playing, and then we get this. Damn!
C'est la guerre.
He's not wrong. That is war. And it ends with them marching off to the incredibly happy music like they just witnessed nothing. Man, I don't know about you, but that legit kind of disturbed me when I was younger. I tried to figure out why, and I think it's a couple reasons. One is that you don't see it, which in a strange way is almost worse, because if you see it and you see him still looking around, or his eyes are, you know, reacting, or he does a big scream, you know, that'd be something, but no, it's far away, you see the silhouette, and that just makes it all the more real. Another thing I find is that less people are blown up with dynamite and cannons and stuff like that, but there's something about everyone's been pricked by something, you know, like everyone gets a shot, you know, that we're all familiar with something sharp and the pain that comes from it. So I think the idea of something really sharp coming down on your neck is pretty grisly. On top of that, there's no cartoony sound effects. That's a very kind of realistic sounding effect. I mean, I have not seen a guillotine in action, but I think that probably sounds more realistic than bwang or boop or Tom going ow, 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 something like that. So I think the fact that they also do it so quiet, it just makes it all the more disturbing, like he did not survive that. I give it credit, it does make the joke funnier that suddenly it just goes so dark at the end because the rest is mostly upbeat. I mean, you have the happy song and the cute little mouse, you know, singing French and stuff like that, which just makes the punchline all the more uncomfortable, but also a lot more funny because it just does not match the tone of the rest of it. I know people are going to point to the episode where Tom and Jerry are waiting for the train to run them over, but you don't see that train come. They could have gotten off, or maybe they snapped to their senses or whatever, but I mean, you don't hear anything after that guillotine comes down. Maybe the way the creators argued of is they're just like, well, maybe they were testing it. Maybe they were just testing it on watermelon or something and Tom got away. I get a feeling it's what like a lot of parents probably told their kids so they weren't freaking out at that. But this is still a good cartoon, like I said. It's not one of my favorites. I think there's a much funnier Tom and Jerry cartoons that have a lot more laughs, and the timing's better, and even the idea is a little bit more clever. But it does have some very nice backgrounds. Music there, that song, you know, is sung very nicely, and of course, just an out-of-nowhere dark ending. I think that's the reason anyone really remembers this. The backgrounds and everything are nice, but I mean, the reason it sticks out is because of that jarring ending. With that said, I gotta know, did you see this cartoon growing up? If so, what were your thoughts, man? I'd love to know what your reaction was. I didn't scream or anything when I saw it, but I do remember feeling a little uncomfortable by it, which also kind of made me laugh when, you know, Nibbles says, yeah. Yeah, it always stuck out to me because I always was like, well, so is he gone? Is he ever coming back? And then of course you see the next cartoon and it's fine. So yeah, let me know what you thought. Did you find that ending funny, or did you just find it disturbing, or both? What were your thoughts as a kid, and what are your thoughts as an adult seeing this? I'd love to know what you have to say. Hey everyone, if there's any particular cartoon you want me to look at as being very dark or twisted, leave it in the comments below. Again, I'm not really looking for movie scenes or cartoons meant for teenagers or older. I'm talking about ones meant for little kids, but still scare the shit out of you. Whether it's an old cartoon or a new cartoon, let me know what you want me to look at.